This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, willing to take your trade and offer up to 125% of Kelley Blue Book Fair Trade value, along with a free trade appraisal. Battlefield Automotive, 547-3673. CFC Farm and Home Center, supplying your lawn and garden, pet, and farm needs since 1932. Hometown pricing and outstanding service at CFC Farm and Home Center, 825-2200. Found & Sons, more than a respected funeral home, they support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530. From shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. K&M Lawn, Garden, and Arborist Supplies, now located directly across Highway 29 from Eastern View High School. K&M, from grass to trees, they aim to please. 825-8371.
The Cyclones play host to the Caroline Cavaliers. I'm Mark O'Connell alongside Steve Peacock, Johnny Krawchuk up top behind the camera. Steve, welcome aboard. We're kind of in a unique situation in the sense that we're going to see Caroline now back-to-back weeks.
Back-to-back weeks, and plus we're starting an earlier starting time, given because of the weather situation, especially down towards the east where King George and Caroline are located. They're getting heavy rain and winds from Hurricane Ian, and we're just supposed to get some rain and winds gusting maybe up to 40 miles an hour. But Hurricane Ian, my thoughts and prayers go to the people in Florida and in South Carolina that, Florida, I've been down that part of the way, and it's beautiful, and it's absolutely devastation down there. My heart goes out for all those folks, and, we as America got to help those people out.
Well, so we're here, and our game time has been moved up to 6 p.m. rather than 7. Been some cancellations along the way as well. One of those being homecoming, I think, has been rescheduled for October 14th. Then I think you were telling me that the Culpeper Eastern View, Culpeper King George game has been continued.
Yeah, it's been postponed tonight, and that was King George's call. Even though they're coming up here, but they get a little bit rougher weather. They're closer to the water mark, and they're getting a lot of the heavy winds, and they just don't want to take away and do the travel up here. It's going to be rain, so it hasn't been rescheduled yet. It could be rescheduled for tomorrow. It could be Monday. We'll have to wait.
Let's talk about tonight's matchup. Eastern View coming in on the heels of last week's big win over Chancellor, 42-0. Eastern View comes in at 4-1. Their only loss has been to Brook Point. We saw that game. And then Caroline now 0-4 with their loss to Culpeper last week, 14-6. So, again, we get a look at Caroline for the second straight week. And we're really, and I don't mean this in any way as a complaint, we just sort of do what you have to do. The last week was unique in the sense we went down there and we called the game from the stands as if we were right there. Well, we were right there with the fans, and some of it, it's hard to see at times. Yep. But tonight we're back at Cyclone Stadium, and if you look out across the field and everything, everything is coming into focus much more quickly.
Yeah, it sure is, and plus we had the warm environs of the press box, so that helps a little bit too. But Mark, we got Brett Clatterbaugh, Braden Walker as captains, along with
Xavier Carr and number 50. You said Braden Walker and Jaden Williams.
Jaden Williams.
Right.
And then number 9 is
Xavier Carr.
Those are the captains.
Those are the captains, and they're looking across the way there at the Caroline captains. 24. Cade Olberg, 32 is Wyatt Hamilton, and number 50 is Angelo Toure. We talked last week in that matchup against Culpeper how Caroline had some pretty good size up front. It seemed to me like Caroline showed some potential, but they just had mishaps at some crucial times. And then I thought the Blue Devils played well defensively.
Yeah, the Blue Devils played probably their best defensive game all year against Caroline. And, Caroline, they're deceiving. They look big across the line. I mean, they've got some athletes, and I'm if you look at their record, they've only given up about 36 points in 5 games. They've all been close games. They've been in there, so it says something. They're pretty good. They're going to be good defensively, but where they lack is on offense. They don't have any. They're hard to. They can't really sustain drives, and that was evidence against Culpeper. And if you can get them in third and long situations, if Eastern View can, then they're prone to turnover. So we'll just have to see how Caroline's going to approach the EV Cyclones.
Well, and the Cyclones won the toss and have opted to receive, so they're going to go with their offense to start things. And speaking of the Cyclone offense, Steve, in that win over Chancellor last week, 42-0, that's 6 touchdowns, and DeMaio Hunter had a part in 5 of the 6.
He sure did, and he's starting to really mature back there at the quarterback spot. He reads so well. He reads, and that's a tribute to his playing basketball as well. He just sees the field. He's seeing where everybody is, and he's been making the right passes. And the other good thing, don't want to jinx it, but he's never had an interception yet so far this year. Now, I said it, so.
Well, he had last week 3 rushing touchdowns. He threw for 2 passing touchdowns. One of those was to Darius Stafford on a 62-yard pass. And then Kevin Berg hauled in a 37-yard pass reception for a touchdown. And Brett Clatterbaugh, I know you've heard of that fellow, Steve. He had a 1-yard run for touchdown last week against Brook Point as well. And so he's gone through some jersey number changes this season. And so tonight we will see Mr. Clatterbaugh wearing jersey number 22. So Caroline does have a kicker in the sense they have a guy kicking off for them. And see if you can pick up that number when you can. They're going to be kicking off, and of course Eastern View hoping to get a good return here. This number 33, that's Malik Tunstall kicking off. This is short, picked up near the 25-yard line. He may have stepped out of bounds, I'm not sure, but let's check the Cyclone starters as we can. We were interested about that offensive line, Steve. Let's pick out some of those numbers.
All right, 78.
So 78 for Eastern View is
penalty marker on the play.
Samet Abed.
All right, 75.
75 is Grayson Yates.
69.
69 is Brandon Weaver.
Number 50 is Braden Walker.
Right.
And the last one, I can't catch his number yet. Let's see, he walks up here.
Legal formation on the Cavaliers. 5-yard penalty marked off. Cyclones take over 1st and 10 at the 35.
69.
All right, so 69 for Eastern View is, let's see, we've got Brandon Weaver.
Okay.
All right, now let's go with Eastern View offense. They're going to start things here on its own 35-yard line. And that looks like Brett Clatterbaugh in the backfield. And they snap it to him. Clatterbaugh, right side, picked up 2 or 3 yards. Interesting look here for the Cyclones as they start things, not snapping the ball to DeMaio Hunter.
Yeah, and that was pretty.
But here he comes in.
Here he comes in. That was pretty interesting play call there. The other thing is with the penalties called against the Caroline Cavaliers for illegal formation. What do you mean illegal formation on defense?
Well, illegal formation on the kickoff.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that's why I thought that maybe the receiver had stepped out of bounds, but he didn't. They said it was illegal formation.
Gotcha.
Then they spotted the ball at the 35-yard line.
Gotcha.
And here on 2nd down, the Cyclones go back to the run and a short pickup that time by the ball carrier. And let's see if we can pick up his number, Steve.
It'd be, I think it's going to be
Jaden Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
25. He's 25.
25 going, lining up now is Jaheim Fry. Here's DeMaio Hunter running. He slipped one tackler, and then he is dragged down just shy of midfield by number 32, Wyatt Hamilton. It's enough for an Eastern View 1st down at its own 49.
Now, see what they're going to do early. They're going to try to run DeMaio Hunter, and so he can really keep that defensive guessing mark, but also looking at, they must have seen the Culpeper film, and they're trying to attack the middle of that Caroline defense.
This is DeMaio Hunter going to the right side this time. Line of scrimmage was a 49. Looks like he gets down to the Caroline 45. So that'll be a pickup of 6. 2nd and 4 coming up. Substitutions again for Eastern View. This is Jaden Williams checking in, and
Number 23.
Darius Stafford. We just mentioned Stafford. He had a touchdown catch last week in the game against Chancellor. So 2nd down and about 4 for the Cyclones here on their opening drive. And they fake it, and DeMaio Hunter keeps it, and he drags a defender or two with him into 1st down territory. He had to get to the 41, and he got to the 38. So it is a 2nd Cyclone 1st down on this opening drive. And we're a couple minutes into this 1st quarter.
Yeah, they're running a hurry-up offense, too, and they're trying to keep Caroline off balance. And DeMaio Hunter's running when he sees the gaps.
Handoff running back 22.
Stafford on the run for the Cyclones.
Stafford, the ball carrier.
Number 2.
Oh, number 2. That's Jaden Williams. That makes more sense, yeah. Now, 22 in the backfield is Brett Clatterbaugh. We talked about some number changes with him. So he started out with, 34, then he went to 24, now he's 22.
We got 11 out here as wide receiver, one of the wide receivers.
Well, that's Kevin Berg, and we mentioned he had a touchdown catch last week. And DeMaio Hunter is looking for somebody, and going up and getting the reception is number 11. That's Kevin Berg you were just mentioning, Steve. And it's a 1st down catch. They get it down into the red zone here at the 17 or 18-yard line.
Yeah, that's just a good drop back, and that's what I talk about, seeing the field, what DeMaio Hunter did. I think either Drury or Clatterbaugh, one of them ran the wrong pattern. I think they both got real close together, but it was a catch. So
play fake, throw it out there to Clatterbaugh. There's Clatterbaugh heading to the end zone or near it. Not in.
Not in.
Not quite. He got close.
He got close. That was just a little old screen pass. Yeah, flare pattern really to number 22, Brett Clatterbaugh, and he get him running hard, and he was running hard, but they're going to say he went out about the 2-yard line mark, looks like.
Yep, down to the 2 where it's 1st and goal from that spot. And they got Clatterbaugh back in there, and he's going to be a lead blocker for the running back who gets in from, looks like 2 yards out, or did he?
Yeah,
he is in. Did you pick up the number?
Number 2.
Well, that's Jaden Williams, and you know what's coming next.
Yep, shut the front doors, close the windows, and use all locks at the Cyclone. Touchdown.
Well, let's talk about this one, Steve. 8 plays, 65 yards, and 3 minutes and 18 seconds used on that 1st quarter clock. And it's a touchdown. The Cyclones now on for the point after will be Braden Capolini. Snap, they get it down. Capolini's kick is up and good. 7-0 our score with 8:42 to play here in the 1st quarter at Cyclone Stadium. Well, we are live, and our live sponsor, of course, is Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. And also this broadcast brought to you in part by K&M Lawn and Garden and Arborist Supplies, now located directly across Highway 29 from Eastern View High School. K&M, from grass to trees, they aim to please. All right, so Culpeper off tonight with that cancellation in the game against King George. But here we have Caroline returning to the action from last week against Culpeper, and Eastern View returns to the action after that big win we mentioned a week ago against Chancellor, 42-0.
For the Cavaliers,
they dominate Chancellor.
Marvin Morris.
See, they're trying to impose their will right now on Caroline. So we're going to see Caroline on offense and see the Eastern View defense.
Looks like Malik Johnson, Marvin Morris are the deep men set to return this kickoff from Braden Capolini. And if you're just tuning in, again, our score 7-0. Eastern View started the game on offense, went the distance, capped the drive with a short touchdown run. This was a kickoff by Capolini's in the end zone for the touchback. So Cavaliers of Caroline will be starting on offense from their own 20. And last week they mixed it up some, Steve, and they had some good plays, but it just seemed like they just weren't able to string it together long enough for any sustained drives, as you pointed out.
Yeah, you're correct, Mark, and also costly penalties got them too. But if Capolini can keep doing that, kicking off into the end zone, touchback, coach is going to take that every time.
So Caroline, the Cavaliers, will start at their own 20. Miles Holmes is number 7. He's the quarterback. He hands it off to the running back. We'll get our first penalty coming in, our second penalty actually. The ball carrier was number 17, I think, but I don't have a 17, do you?
No, it was 14, was it?
Was it 14? No, I don't think that's right either.
It's going to be a penalty. It's going to be a hold against Caroline here. Half the distance. No, they're going to make it full to the 5.
Well, but probably because the line of scrimmage was 20, right?
Yeah.
So then now they have it at the 8. Let's see if we can't pick up some of these jersey numbers in that backfield.
Number 4 looked like it was Marvin Morris. Was the
right.
back.
Okay. Marvin Morris did get his share of carries last week. But we've got another player back there, Steve.
Number 7 and number 17.
All right. Well, 17 is the guy we're looking for. And that's a number that we don't have on our roster. We're going to have to take a look at that one. 17. No, I'm sorry. We do have a 17, don't we? That is Cameron Johnson. All right.
And he said hello to Brett Clatterbaugh on that tackle. And Brett stuck him pretty good, too. And that was a good tackle there by Clatterbaugh. And now Caroline's faced with a long second and a mile. And what the defense is going to do, they know Caroline. Do they have big play capability? I really didn't see it last week. Did you, Mark?
No, I did not. We had a couple of clutch plays, but I didn't see any big play capability. And here is Miles Holmes going to keep it and going to be smothered just inside that 15-yard line. And they're going to have a long way to go here on 3rd down.
Yeah, they are, and that's going to be, again, and I don't see Eastern View really keeping an eye on that quarterback because they know they got athletes back there, their linebackers and secondary that have the speed to get to them. So we'll see how this is going to go right here. But I would dial up a blitz here if I was on the defensive coordinator.
How about the secondary you mentioned for Eastern View? Xavier Carr is in there, and
number 8.
Jason Spencer, number 21, and number 8. It's
right here, right front.
Okay, yeah, number 8 playing on the corner. That's Isom Addo. Throwing downfield, dangerously so, and closer to the defenders than to the receivers. And Caroline can be thankful that was not picked off. And it's going to be 4th down and an obvious punting situation for Caroline. So Eastern View defense, Steve, certainly does its job.
It sure did. And Mark, that shows Caroline's quarterback's got an arm, but he's just, I don't know if he has the touch yet or very in sync with his receivers, because a couple more steps, that would have been an Eastern View interception.
Looks like Tyre Williams will be handling the punt for Caroline. He's going to stand about 3 yards in the end zone. And then the return man here for Eastern View, Steve.
I'm trying to, he's sideways here, and I can't. Oh, we got a flag, too.
Here's the kick. This one won't be returned. Get away from it. Don't let it hit you is sort of the idea. And the Cyclones, pending this penalty assessment, they're going to have excellent field position.
They are. I'm thinking it might be against Cyclones, Mark. Someone might have jumped just a tad too early. We'll see.
Well, as they sort this one out, we'll say this broadcast brought to you in part by Battlefield Automotive, willing to take your trade and offer up to 125% of Kelly Blue Book fair trade value, along with a free trade appraisal. Battlefield Automotive, 540-547-3673. All right.
Mark, what it was is off legal procedure against Caroline, backs them up 5 yards, and Eastern View is going to take the penalty and make them punt again. Like I said, trying to figure out who the punt. 23.
Oh, it's 23. That's Darius Stafford, their lone safety back for Eastern View, and going to punt this one way a little deeper in his own end zone is Tyre Williams of Caroline. He's got some hefty blockers there in front of him. They do their job. It's a short kick. Once more, though, this one takes a little bit better Caroline bounce. When it's all said and done, wasn't too much difference between the first punt and the second punt in terms of field position. Any way you slice it, Eastern View has a short field to work with. here with 6:44 to play in the first quarter, and they're back on offense with a 7-0 lead.
Well, I think Eastern View gained the 5 yards that Caroline was penalized for.
So Eastern View is going to start on Caroline's 41-yard line. DeMaio Hunter back in there as a quarterback. They'll load up this left side with 3 receivers. Here on first down. Man in motion. They fake it to him. DeMaio Hunter throws near side to the receiver. Xavier Carr. Carr gets down to about the 30-yard line. He'll be 3 or 4 yards shy of a Cyclone first down.
Like the play call, Mark. He was, just play action, fake it, and then just easily roll out to a receiver, just rolling out right out there on that corner route, coming back, and then able to gain 8 yards on it.
Well, my mistake, Steve. He actually gained enough to get a first down, so he's down to 29 instead. This is going to be a run. This is going to be Xavier Carr. Watch Carr go. They force him out of bounds. About the 10-yard line. Another good gain. That's 19 yards. And that comes right after that 12-yard gain by
Mark. It was DeMaio Hunter on that run, the quarterback, number 5. He was the one that took that run, not
Xavier Carr.
Xavier Carr. And he got a good block by Braden Walker and was able to tuck it right in there.
Now Carr lines up this time as a wideout,
right.
Top of your screen. DeMaio Hunter will be handing off here. And headed to the end zone is number 23, isn't it? Darius Stafford?
Yes, indeed.
That's him. Is he in?
Yep.
All right, there you go. From what? This is, 19 yards? 10 yards? 10 yards.
10 yards. All right, people. What we got to do is lock the front doors, shut the windows, close all locks. It's a Cyclone touchdown.
Well, you give them a short field to work with, and they make you pay for it pretty quickly, don't they?
They sure do. It was all running good play calling by the offensive coordinator and good execution by DeMaio Hunter.
Capellini's kick up is good. 14-0 Cyclones. 6:15 to play. We're not even at the midway mark. Well, do want to tell you this broadcast brought to you in part by Fountain Sons. More than a respected funeral home, they support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Fountain Sons, 825-3530. And Cash Imprints. From shirts to banners and everything in between, imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. Well, one thing about it, Steve, we're expected to have a shorter night. We started at 6 o'clock, and I know that the players and fans will probably be happy to have an earlier night, and then you got some cancellations and some postponements that they'll make this up when the weather gets better.
They sure will. So.
Homecoming was something I was alluding to. I think they've continued that to October 14th, if I'm not mistaken. So Caroline already finds itself in a fairly deep hole, down 14-0 as we approach this midway mark of this first quarter. Brandon
Cappellini will be kicking the ball off.
Cappellini
For your Cyclones.
has teed it up. Braden Cappellini has teed it up, and here is his kick. Will this one be returned? No, this is the second touchback. And you were mentioning when your kicker can put it in the end zone like that, you don't have to worry about your special teams play, do you?
No, you don't. That's a weapon right there. I mean, you don't have to worry about being any run back, and especially against some of the better teams that have better return men back there. So now we're going to see, like I said, the Eastern View again on defense. And I think they want to keep a shutout going, Mark, because they shut out Chancellor for 4 quarters, and they're shutting out this is now 5 quarters, first quarter against Caroline. Coming on, if they can get out of this quarter, they've been shutting their opponents down 5 last quarters.
Cavaliers of Caroline start this possession on their own 20. They go to the run, and that amounts to nothing as the ball carrier, I believe it was Marvin Morris, drew a crowd of blue jerseys swarming to it. No gain on the play, 2nd and 10.
Yeah, led by number 7 for Eastern View, and that is Josh Perez. He had a good tackle right in there. And Eastern View is basically just playing the base defense, Mark. They're playing pretty much man-to-man, straight up, and just saying, hey, Caroline, try to beat you with your athletes. We got better athletes. So
Miles Holmes throwing. The player in motion out of that backfield was number 17, Cameron Johnson. Cameron Johnson picked up about 3 yards on the play, and it's going to bring up 3rd and 7.
Here's another big third down here for the defense. See if they can still keep that shutout going, Mark.
Yeah, we were talking about how big Caroline's offensive line was last week. We mentioned big number 71, Sean Martzik, and he's playing that right tackle position, and you can find him there with that red band around his waist. Miles Holmes, the quarterback, is going to keep it, and he's not going to go very far, as a fellow by the name of Brett Clatterball and another guy by the name of Kevin Berg combined for the tackle, and now it's going to be a 3 and out. And you're almost certain to get good field position, barring a miscue here.
You are, Mark. And again, if they can start, Eastern View start inside every offensive play inside the 50, and right on your opponent's half the field, that's saying something.
Tyre Williams is the punter, and he stands just inside his own 5-yard line to punt this one away. Ball is dropped, picks it up. He's in trouble, and he's tackled back at about the 5-yard line. Wow, so a bad turn of events for Caroline there, Steve, and now Eastern View in a position where they can punch it in from short range.
Yep, these sure are, Mark. That was all that. Again, they did that last week, Caroline did, with untimely mistakes. Here was another.
Right. Well, we were talking about that summit. It looked like they had some potential, but it was like they made mistakes and hurt themselves. Looks like we have a timeout on the field, and I want to mention that our timeout sponsor is UVA Community Credit Union, strengthening the financial health of our members and the Culpeper community. UVACreditUnion.org. Well, I'm Mark O'Connell alongside Steve Peacock, and Johnny Krawchuk is up top behind the camera, of course. Nicole Wooten back in the studio, Steve. And what are your thoughts so far, other than Eastern View taking advantage of excellent field position?
Well, Mark taking advantage of that, and plus they got their run game going, and plus they've got their short passing game working with DeMaio Hunter. And right now it's all Eastern View. They're playing pretty sharp, and Caroline isn't, and we can see it right now. So hopefully Eastern View might go in here and score on this one. They got the ball right at about the 6-yard line to Caroline.
They sure do. And let's check DeMaio Hunter in there, and it looks like Deuce Washington behind him, number 15. And they hand it off to Washington. He makes a move in the backfield, hoping to spring loose, and Caroline converges pretty quickly to stop him pretty much at the line of scrimmage.
And you look at the bulk of Caroline's interior defensive line. I mean, that's probably going to be their strength. They're not going to get much push in there with big number 75, playing over center right there. He looks like he's a big immovable object.
So no gain. 2nd down and goal now from the 6. Back to Washington they go. Here is Washington getting in between a couple of defenders. Going to be just shy of that goal line, at about the half-yard line.
Yeah, but just his knee went down first, Mark, and it hit right in, about the half-yard line. Even though the ball might have carried over, it's where his knee goes down, and the officials marking it inside the 1. Now, who you say quarterback sneak here? I would, but
well, you've got let's see, DeMaio Hunter, Deuce Washington back there. Clatterball, the tight end, he's going to block for Washington. Washington's going to try to get in. And he does from 1 yard out.
And it's 1 yard out. People, shut your doors, close your windows, close all locks. It's a Cyclone touchdown.
20-0, Steve, and we're a point away from it being 21-0, and 2 minutes and 56 seconds still remain here in this first quarter. Looks like it might be a long night for Caroline.
Well, it might be. If we get to halftime and get that 35-point lead, it might be a short night.
Then it might be a short night, and that from that point of view. Braden Capellini on for his 3rd point after attempt. He's 2 for 2 so far. His kick is up and good. 21-0. Cyclones, 2:56 to play here in the first quarter. Caroline's in trouble, Steve Peacock, and this broadcast is brought to you in part by CFC Farm and Home Center, supplying your lawn and garden, pet, and farm needs since 1932. Hometown pricing and outstanding service at CFC Farm and Home Center. All right. And we mentioned, of course, we're live this year, and our live sponsor is Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Well, we mentioned 2:56 to play here in this first quarter, and, we're past the midway mark in this regular season. Dave.
Yep, that's right. Right.
Cyclones 4-1, so this is Game 6 of the regular season. And interestingly enough, if people are wondering about a bye week, both the Cyclones and the Blue Devils have their bye week the same week, which is the last week of the regular season.
You're right, in November, first Friday in November.
And I want to mention another game that looms large for next week. This one's going to be dropped and into the end zone. That's an automatic touchback. Malik Johnson unable to get a handle on it to bring it back. But if his foot was in the end zone, he wouldn't be able to, would not have been able to return it anyway.
Right.
Well, I was thinking if really a game to see, if you like high school football, in a close matchup and a litmus test as to where both teams are in the power structure and the standings of their own district, would be next week's matchup between Louisa and Orange.
Right, and Orange's got a big game tonight, though, too, Mark, against Albemarle.
Albemarle. Well, actually, I was told that game's been moved to tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Unless they've changed it. And I was talking to one of their key players' parents, and she said it was moved to Saturday. They played the JV game Wednesday night. I don't know who won that one. Right. And then they were playing the varsity was supposed to play tonight. I'm talking about Orange and Albemarle, but they're supposed to play tomorrow.
And they both got good. Albemarle's 4-1, and what is Orange?
They're undefeated, aren't they? 4-0?
4-0.
Yeah.
So
and of course, Louisa's rolling.
Yeah. So there's going to be a penalty right here against the Cavaliers. It looks like it's going to be a legal procedure, Mark.
Caroline starting here on its own 15-yard line. And the Cavaliers are down 21-0. And they're going to get something going soon. William Millsop was the man in motion, number 14. They go back to the run. We get a penalty flag coming in here as Cameron Johnson, number 17, runs the ball for Caroline.
It's going to be a hold here against Caroline, it looks like. See what the officials, see what the men in the striped uniforms, it's going to be holding.
Oh, I see some confusion here. Look at this roster, Steve. This thing, look, numerically, 14, 15, 16, 19, 20. Then it goes back to
17.
Yeah.
Well.
You never know. Well, we were talking, and we've said it a few times. We said it last week against Culpeper, and we've said it tonight again a couple of times about Caroline's inopportune mistakes. I mean, here you're already deep in your own territory to begin with. You can't keep going backwards and expect good things to happen.
No, you can't. And, the way Caroline's playing right now is just that Eastern View smells blood.
They really do. Caroline sticks to the run. They need a big play. They do not get one. As Cameron Johnson, the ball carrier, and Brett Clatterball gets the credit for most of that tackle.
And the thing is, Mark, Caroline, I know, wants to run because it's down here in the in their own zone, deep in their own territory. But run defense is one of the strengths that the Eastern View Cyclones have, and it's showing up right here. They if they want to get some momentum against the Cyclones, they're going to have to open it up and go to the pass.
That's an interesting point. And they had a couple of kids last week make some key catches. Not this time, because this pass intended for Marvin Morris was overthrown. And it brings up third down and about 23 yards to go for Caroline. Well, you're talking about the strength of this Eastern View defense being against the rush. Has their secondary been tested yet? And if not, will they be tested when they play King George?
They will be severely tested against King George. But, Mark, they had to move the ball back because the official on that previous play signaled a backwards pass, and they threw it out of bounds. So now they've been deep.
So that would have been a fumble had it stayed in bounds. Instead, it went out of bounds at about the 3. So Caroline obviously moving in reverse, wrong direction here, as they now face like a 3rd and 28. Ball at their own 3-yard line now.
You just tell their defense they're going to try to run it again.
Straight ahead they go, trying to get a little breathing room. They won't get much. Maybe out to the 5-yard line was Marvin Morris. Brett Clatterball in on another tackle. So here come the punting unit and the punt return unit for Eastern View back on there. They're really sort of getting accustomed to seeing these short field to work on as far as Eastern View is concerned.
Well, look at where the punter is now. If he steps out of bounds, it's going to be a safety.
That is true.
Watch where his feet are.
That is an excellent point, because you have to be mindful when you're the punter. If you're that far back into the end zone, you can't touch that line. And we already have a penalty flag down. The ball is loose, and he's going to be tackled. This is going to be a safety, as I guess he's pushed out.
Yep.
It is a safety, but what about the penalty?
We'll see what the penalty is. It's going to be. I think it's going to be on false start for Caroline, and so the safety's going to stand.
Right. So if it's a false start, they would decline it. It'd be a safety. That'd make it 23-0. With 1:07 to play. And not only that, it's sort of like, I know it's a cliche, Steve, but it's really like adding insult to injury. You just gave up a safety. You're down 23-0, and now you still have to give the ball back to the Cyclone.
And via the punt.
Right.
At the 20-yard line?
And
No,
punting,
30-yard line.
and I do not believe that punting is Caroline's forte.
No, it isn't. And you're right. And that's their punter right there. What he's doing, he's looking where the rush is coming before. You got to tell the punters. You tell them before you even kick the ball, you got to make sure you got the ball first. You got to look the ball in and then go through your motion. But don't be peeking and looking at where the rush is coming from.
Well, can I ask you something just for clarity?
Sure.
Just to make sure I haven't completely lost my mind. Is it really 23-0, and is it really still in the first quarter?
Yeah, it's still in the first quarter.
And it's 1:07 to play. This seems kind of odd. But if, you're talking about Murphy's Law for Caroline, anything that can go wrong will go wrong is sort of happening for them tonight. And I wonder how it makes them feel.
I don't know. Well, I'll tell you right now, they're not punting it. They can kick off.
No, they can, because it's a free kick.
Yeah, it's a free kick from the 20.
And I think this is something you and I know as longtime sports fans. If you have a free kick, you usually go punt. Why? Because you put the ball up higher, and you get the hang time, you get your players downfield quicker. But with their punting game, they pretty much have to go to the kick here. And each of you better get on this one, because that's a free ball. And Caroline signals they've got it, and I don't see any reason to disagree with them.
They have it. They caught Eastern View napping right there, Mark. They're looking at, it's 23-0, going through the motions, and Caroline did exactly. That was well coached. It was a good call. Put a little pooch kick, because you saw how spaced out the defense for, the punt return team, kickoff return team was for Eastern View. They just dropped it in there, and the receiver looked like, what am I going to do with it? We'll jump on it.
Well, he did put it in a really good spot. And then Caroline, as a result, ends up getting the ball back with its best field position of the game. And this is about the time they've really started to have to put something together, or this game's going to get away from them.
It is. You're right, Mark. And maybe this gives Caroline some momentum.
Well, a little mix-up in the backfield as Cameron Johnson looks for some running room, and he does come up a little bit. Nothing short there on effort by Johnson as he got to about midfield, and he had to work really hard to get those 5 yards.
Yep, and they're going to give him, right there, exactly 5 yards. And, Mark, I got a good trivia question for you tonight.
Okay.
And I think I can stump you with it.
I'm easily stumped these days. The very stumpable Mark O'Connell. What is it?
All right. He played for the 49ers, played with John Brody. That's all hit. And but he was from Richmond.
And he played at Verina. And it has to be Ken Willard.
Oh, you got it.
Ken Willard, Verina product. And he played the same backfield with John David Crow.
Yep.
Yeah, you're talking about the 70s, aren't we?
Yep.
Here's a pass completed. Is that Caroline's first completed pass? If so, and it is, it's enough for a Caroline first down. And that's the first time you've said that tonight.
Yeah, it was.
And they're in Eastern View territory.
And plus, Eastern View was given too big of a cushion right there on their receiver. And I guess Caroline's coaches have recognized and say, hey, look, we're not getting anything done in the run game.
See, final seconds of this first quarter have, shall I say, finally run off.
Yeah.
And we've played one here at Cyclone Stadium, where it is, all Eastern View, up 23-0 as we take a break, and we'll come back for the second quarter. Stay tuned.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, willing to take your trade and offer up to 125% of Kelley Blue Book Fair Trade value, along with a free trade appraisal. Battlefield Automotive, 547-3673. CFC Farm and Home Center, supplying your lawn and garden, pet, and farm needs since 1932. Hometown pricing and outstanding service at CFC Farm and Home Center, 825-2200. Found & Sons, more than a respected funeral home, they support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530. From shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. K&M Lawn, Garden, and Arborist Supplies, now located directly across Highway 29 from Eastern View High School. K&M, from grass to trees, they aim to please. 825-8371.
All right, starting the second quarter, Caroline has it first and 10. Eastern View 44. This is the quarterback, Miles Holmes, in trouble and dragged down at the 49-yard line. He will lose 5 yards, going to bring up second down and 15. So opening minute here of this second quarter finds Eastern View well out in front, 23-0. But Caroline, Steve, at the very end of that first quarter, got a little bit of injection of life.
They did. They got a little bit momentum, a little bit by the. They were tagged for safety, and they went to kick off, and they kicked it off and dropped it like a pooch kick, and Eastern View didn't dive on it. Caroline did, and they were able to pick up that ball, and so now they've got their best field position they have so far in this game.
Second down and 14 after that 4-yard loss. Miles Holmes swings it out there to Cameron Johnson, or tries to. Overthrew him a little bit. Johnson was going to have to make a one-handed catch to bring that one in, and now it'll bring up 3rd and 14.
And Mark, Eastern View linebackers and those corners got to be aware of that, because that could have been easily picked for the Cyclones and ran it all the way back in for a touchdown, because that quarterback kind of floated it up there. He has a good arm, but he's not very accurate. So you got to make him make the mistakes. And if you're going to float a ball up there, you need to go find that ball and attack it.
3rd down and 14 for the Cavaliers at the Cyclones' 47-yard line. Opening minute of the second quarter. Here is Miles Holmes stepping up, now in trouble, and he's going to be sacked back at the Caroline 45-yard line. That's another loss, and this one is up 8 yards, and it's going to bring up 4th down and 22 for the Cavaliers.
Number 50, Braden Walker, and 54 running on that stop.
54 meaning Jeremy Waters.
Yep.
And now
Josh Perez was
the
also in on that tackle.
punt team
And Josh Perez is in on it as well.
for Caroline. Malik Johnson will be punting this one away from about the 30-yard line. Darius Stafford back for Eastern View. Well, the punting game has really been a weak spot for Caroline, and we've got a whistle and stoppage, and it's going to be a timeout by Eastern View. And with that being said, let me tell you about our timeout sponsor. It's UVA Community Credit Union, strengthening the financial health of our members and the Culpeper community. You can visit their website at uvacreditunion.org. And of course, we mentioned we're live this year, and our live sponsor is Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air at 718-7556. And Stevie, you were thinking about HVAC systems. I mean, this is transition time, isn't it? When you think about this weather. I mean, It wasn't that long ago, like 2 or 3 days ago, it seemed like 90-some degrees, shorts, shirts, still sweating a lot outside. Then all of a sudden you need jackets, and how's your heating system going to be doing? You start thinking in those terms.
Yeah, you sure do. And my heat pump kicked on this morning and a little bit this afternoon, so I know it's working.
All right, here's Malik Johnson. He's able to punt this one away. It looks like a pretty good kick, and it's going to take a Cavalier roll. Nicely done by Thompson, and this one's going to be down at the Eastern View 7-yard line. So Malik Johnson has pinned the Cyclones back deep in their own territory, really for the first time tonight, because the Cyclones have enjoyed outstanding field position up to this point.
They sure have. They sure have that. And see what we can see what's going to happen here, and with the Eastern View offense, they know they can move it. I look for a long sustained drive, try to take up most of this second quarter, drive methodically down the field. Let's see.
Speaking of the second quarter, we have 10 minutes and 15 seconds to play in it, and the Cyclones up 23-0. Again, we mentioned with the worst field position the Cyclones have had all night. They keep this one conservative. Straight ahead they go. Not much as Caroline up to the task on that play.
Mark, that was a busted play because the center was supposed to, they had Clatterball and DeMaio Hunter standing next to each other, but it got snapped to the running back, and he wasn't expecting it, but it tipped him. He caught it and dove on it. So.
And Clatterball is back there now, awaiting the snap on 2nd and 9. Here's Clatterball, and he hands it off, trying to get to the outside, breaking a tackle, and then picking up first down yardage. Pick up his number here momentarily. All right, is it 25 for Eastern View?
Yep.
All right, and that's Jaheim Fry. And now we got substitutions coming in for the Cyclone.
That'll be a Cyclone.
Darius Stafford comes back into the game. He's number 23. Number 3 in there, Eastern View, that's Trey Brock. We haven't called his name yet tonight. Good run that time by Fry. Gives the Cyclones a new set of downs here.
Well, that was good. Went to Clatterball. He then threw an inside reverse, handed off to the running back, who made a good play.
Back to the run they go, and this time they run into a stone wall of Caroline Cavalier defenders. They're going to stop it after a pickup of 1 yard. Coming back into the game is Jaheim Fry, number 25. To the sidelines, number 23, that's Darius Stafford.
Number 10 has gone back in for Eastern View as well.
And that's Keegan Brown.
Looks like Coach Lowry and staff are going to rotate those running backs, Mark.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen that a few times here tonight. The substitutions, 2 or 3 players at a time. And DeMaio Hunter handing off. Straight ahead they go. Caroline doing a nice job this time, stopping that run attack.
Well, also the offensive linemen got to get in. They're not getting their helmets on the linebackers, and they're the ones making the play. So they got to sit there and close their gaps down, because all the Caroline's defensive line is doing is just making them collapse, and so they're letting the linebackers make the tackle inside. All
right, now Darius Stafford is back there alongside DeMaio Hunter as a running back on 3rd down and 8 here from the 22-yard line. DeMaio Hunter rolls to his right, throwing downfield. This one could be not picked off and then not caught. The player who got his hands on the ball first was defender Seth Davis of Caroline, and then looked like the Eastern View receiver there. That was Jake Williams. Maybe could have hauled it in, but he would have stepped out of bounds in the process.
Yeah, he could have. If you could have made the catch, he could have gotten dragged that one toe. It was only one in high school. In college, it might have been a heck of a play, but it went off or not. Now we're seeing Eastern View punt for the first time in the ball game.
I was going to say, Braden Capolini punting for the first time rather than kicking off or trying extra points. Back deep, Keegan Brown for Caroline. Capolini's kick was a short one. Let's check the bounce. And it does take a Cyclone roll. Speaking of roll, we got a couple players rolling around back here at the 30-yard line, and it did draw a penalty flag.
Yeah, it's going to be against Caroline. Number 18 for
Eastern View. All right, that's Aiden Grimsley, and then number 12 for Caroline is Jules Berryman. They were going at it.
They were going at it, and then it looked like, as I said, it's going to be against Caroline, I would assume.
7:51 to play here in the second quarter, 23-0 Eastern View.
Yeah, they're going to push him back. It's going to be a personal foul, too.
Here comes the call here. It's a holding against
okay.
Caroline.
Yeah.
Caroline.
be from the spot, right? Or from the line of scrimmage.
I'm not sure, but I was looking at that when that penalty was assessed. The two players were. It looked like so. What they ruled was it was the player Berryman guilty of holding.
So that knocks.
That might have explained why he was in that top position on the ground.
That's true. And
Not just being a good takedown artist.
And I'm looking at the sky, the bands of Hurricane E. Look how fast it's going across there, this cloud. So it's moving.
All right. Caroline here on offense. 35-yard line. Malik Johnson, ball carrier, right side. Not much doing.
Quarterback keeper.
They hemmed him in
He's
pretty good
tackled by
there.
Brett Clatterball.
You know, right now, Eastern View's just got to take care of business. Play your solid
1 yard
defense.
for the
Nothing really fancy. Because
Cavaliers.
Caroline isn't going to get fancy. They're just going to try to either run it, run it, and they will only pass unless they absolutely have to. But their problem is they can't give their quarterback enough time to throw it.
And that quarterback you're speaking of is Miles Holmes. And the Cavaliers, with 7:12 remaining in the clock ticking here in the second quarter, trail 23-0, and they have it 2nd and 10 from the 36. And this is Malik Johnson.
Berg on the tackle of Johnson.
Kevin Berg, the tackler for Eastern View.
And right now, Eastern View
No
defense,
gain on the
other than
carry.
that, just a little bit of lapse, on their
Cyclone
kickoff
fan.
return team.
It's
They're doing the job right now against the
down.
Cavaliers.
Well, yeah, it's like 3rd down and 9 from the 37. So 2 running plays for Caroline came to naught, really. They picked up a yard. And now it's 3rd and 9. They're going to send Keegan Brown wide left, and they're going to load up that right side with 3 receivers for quarterback Miles Holmes here, number 7. All right, here's Holmes. He's going to throw downfield. Good-looking arm, good-looking throw, but overthrew everyone, including the defenders back there. Good coverage. There were 2 Caroline receivers out there, Steve, and they were blanketed.
They were. It's good coverage there by Eastern View with that cover 2 formation, and you can see that strong arm that Caroline quarterback has, but he's just been so off. He's not in, but again, he's being hurried too. So, I'm impressed with his arm, and he's only a sophomore. For the quarterback for Caroline.
We don't have his
we don't have this
class.
Well, we got the grade year, but.
Oh, what the year they're going to graduate.
Yep. So.
Which means you have to do the math.
Yep.
If you want to know.
Not my strong suit.
Short kick, low kick, takes another Caroline roll, however, and they're going to down it inside that Eastern View 25-yard line. 6:07 to play. Second quarter action. Cyclones 23, Cavaliers nothing. Momentarily, Eastern View goes back on offense. And this broadcast brought to you in part by Battlefield Automotive. Willing to take your trade and offer up to 125% of Kelly Blue Book Fair Trade value, along with a free trade appraisal. Battlefield Automotive, 540-547-3673.
County Sheriff's Department.
Eastern View back on offense will go from its own 24. Here's DeMaio Hunter. Going to set up the screen, going to be incomplete. And the lead blocker out there was going to be Brett Clatterball. They tried to get it to Darius Stafford. He was unable to corral it.
Yeah, it was a little bit high thrown by DeMaio Hunter. He just kind of, instead of throwing, he was trying to aim it. You just got to have that touch and just drop it into his hands. And again, it was it would have gone for big yardage because it had Caroline pretty much fooled except for the cornerback out there, and he was going to get plastered by Clatterball.
He was going to meet Brett Clatterball in person, wasn't
Yep.
he? In a one-on-one situation. Jaheim Fries checked back in for Eastern View. It's 2nd and 10. We got a whistle. We got stoppage.
Timeout, Eastern View.
And it's timeout
The second.
taken by Eastern View. And we'll tell you this broadcast brought to you in part by Found & Sons, more than a respected funeral home. They support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530. And also, I mentioned Cash Imprints, shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 14-73. 6:03 to play here in the second quarter. The Eastern View timeout, and the Cyclones are up 23-0. Have you seen really any life in Caroline? Any positive?
Other than
things
that,
for them?
kickoff after the safety, but other than that, I mean, I'm impressed by Caroline's quarterback's arm, but he's not in touch with the receivers. And right now, I mean, Eastern View did all its scoring in the first quarter, and we're in the second quarter, and right now, Caroline's pitching a shutout against Eastern View. So I guess you got to look at that some way positive for the Cavaliers.
And that's the ultimate Caroline spin there, Steve. You gave them the kudos. That you got to give them a little bit. Here's a nice throw out there in the open field. This one intended, as the penalty flag comes in, this one was intended for Trey Brock, and I don't think there's any question that there's interference on the play.
Yeah, they're draped all over him, Mark, and that's going to be a 15-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage, pass interference against Caroline. I mean, it would have been a catch if that Caroline player didn't come draping, over his head and hitting him, knock him down before the ball got there.
And if that's the case, they mark it off from the line of scrimmage. It looks like they'll move it out to, I'm going to guess, the 39. They tack
Pass
this one
interference
off.
against the Cavaliers.
We'll start the line of scrimmage, mark it off 15 yards. It should be first down, too.
The 15-yard penalty marked
We're already
off, and that will be
moving
a Cyclone.
The chains and the chain gang out to the 39 it is. First and 10 Cyclones, 5:57 to play. Here in the second, clock is stopped with the penalty. 23-0 our score. DeMaio Hunter goes back to work. Caroline shows pressure. Here they come. They go back to the run. They run away from it. And they get that ball carrier there in space, and he's breaking tackles.
Stab
He's
at
out
the
of
ball
bounds about
carrier.
the Caroline
He gets around
45-yard
the
line.
left side, picks up about 15
See the
yards.
ball carrier there,
And that'll be a Cyclone.
It's just
First
really difficult to pick it up
down.
from this angle, Steve. But
23.
all right, then that's Darius Stafford.
Yep. That's who made that good run right there. Stafford just picked up,
Anthony
got good
Foster
blocking
for
at the
the
point of attack
Cavaliers
mark,
sub.
and then he used his
Stafford out of
running
bounds.
ability to get away from Caroline. Good run, good play.
14 yards on the play. First down. Cyclones now at the Cavalier 47. Back to the run they go. Darius Stafford straight ahead this time. And he dives forward. Shy of the 40, down to about the 42. Picked up 5 yards, brings up 2nd and 5.
You see, that makes him more manageable
Franklin
to
Harris
Mile
on the
Hunter.
tackle
There we can turn around
for
and open
Caroline.
him up, maybe hit for a big play right here, because you pretty much know, hey, I'm going to get 5 yards. Let's see if we can throw a downfield on third, see what they do.
Back to the run they go. Stafford coming to the outside and making a nice open field tackle for Caroline.
Stafford
There
on the
is
carry.
number 12, Dakari
Jules Barrett
Turner.
on the tackle
Good
for
solo
Caroline.
tackle. And
Loss of
ball
2
carrier
yards,
will lose a
3rd
couple
and
yards.
6.
Going to bring up 3rd and about 7. Clock running, 4:50 to play. Second quarter action. Eastern View 23, Caroline nothing. And it is now a 3rd and 6 for Eastern View. DeMaio Hunter going to throw it. Had a receiver out there who dropped it, and he had a defender close to him.
Hunter's
He would
pass
have had to
falls
have broke
incomplete.
that tackle to get first down yardage. Instead, it's an incomplete
Intended for
pass.
Jamie Williams.
And now 4th down, and do the Cyclones, what do they
6.
do here, Steve? Do they punt it away?
Well, I would punt it away because Caroline knows they can't move him offensively. You got him pinned way back, maybe cause a mistake, go in for a touchdown. But then it looks like they're going to go for it, though, Mark. I would rather flip the field a little bit and put Caroline in deeper territory.
Unless they have a long snap count here and they draw them off for 5 yards and it's 4th and 1 rather than 4th and 6. And, of course, that changes things. I think that's what they're trying to do. Well, here's DeMaio Hunter. He's going to scramble a little. He's going to look downfield. He's going to backpedal and then dump it off. And it looks like he's got a receiver in a first down. Is that Clatterball out there? I believe it is.
It is.
Hunter's pass.
Well, that was DeMaio Hunter's creativity. It looked like he was going to run it.
Picked
And
up
then
8
we got
yards,
to the
and that's
point
a
he had to throw it. He backpedaled some to let
down.
the play develop. And Clatterball got open enough, and he tossed it to him. That was a nice play and a first down.
Good recognition by both players. Clatterball knew he had to get the first down, and DeMaio Hunter for his creativity in that play.
Exactly. And here he is now on 1st and 10. And a handoff here to, it looks like Jaden Williams, Steve. And let's check the spot. He went out of bounds at about the 3-yard line. That's a
Jaden
pickup
Williams, the
of
ball carrier.
31 yards on the play.
It was Jaden Williams.
He picks up about 25 yards.
I know he
was
wanted it.
tackled
He
by
had it. I thought he
Berryman
was
for the
gonna be able to
Cavaliers.
chug it in, but he went out of bounds.
That'll be another
Looks like we're
Cyclone.
gonna spot the ball here.
First down.
3.
It looked like the 3 is where the line judge lined up there. You see him?
Yep.
You can see him on the sidelines there. I'm going to say it's the 3, and that's unofficial.
It's a timeout on Caroline this time. Yeah, if I was Coach Lowry, Jaden Williams made that big run. He gets up, I'd give it back to him again. Maybe let him score a touchdown.
Now you can check the spot, Steve. You see where the ball is now? That
Yep.
looks like the 2.
2-yard line.
It's a 2-yard line. Well, 3:41 to play, second quarter action. Caroline calls timeout for the defense to make an adjustment here as Caroline trails 23-0. And here is Eastern View looking to tack on some more points. But before that, we've got the timeout, and we'll tell you this broadcast brought to you in part by CFC Farm and Home Center, supplying your lawn and garden, pet, and farm needs since 1932. Hometown pricing and outstanding service at CFC Farm and Home Center. And K&M Lawn and Garden and Arborist Supplies, now located directly across Highway 29 from Eastern View High School. K&M, from grass to trees, they aim to please. Well, Steve, that's across from Eastern View High. You know where Eastern View High School is, don't you?
Yeah.
You've been there a time or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Got
we've
your
both
boat.
been.
You got your boat dock there tonight.
Yeah.
I was telling people tonight, if you don't own a boat, you might wish you owned one, right?
Jeez.
I don't think it's going to be that bad here, though, do you?
No, I don't think it's going to be that bad here at all.
But it has been bad for other folks, and as Steve pointed out, express our sentiments for them as Eastern View goes back on offense, and Brett Clatterball lowers his shoulder and finds the end zone, which brings in Steve Peacock.
Shut the front, close the doors, shut the windows, look at all locked. It's a Cyclone touchdown.
Cyclones, number
29-0.
22.
Eastern View. Clatterball has his
Ball.
first touchdown of the game. And Braden Capolini will come on for Eastern View for another point after. And the holder is DeMayo Hunter. The snap, the hold, the kick, up and good. Our score,
Capolini's
30-0.
extra point is good. And with
Cyclones,
3:35
3:35 to
left in the
play
second
here
quarter.
in the second quarter.
And now we're getting into if Eastern View scores here before the quarter, then we get into a quick second half because they'll be down by a 35-point margin. But we're going to see. Let's see what Eastern View is going to do on on defense here. They got to keep see what Caroline can do, and I think if you're an Eastern View fan, you just keep doing what you've been doing. You're pitching a shutout so far. Caroline, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, they've already been proven that. I just don't think they have the. They have a couple athletes marked here and there, but they don't have them all on the football field, and it shows with them right now. And they're little, other than their couple of big linemen, but they look like they're better than they were last year. And I know that's an improvement. I mean, they've only given up 36 points prior to this, and now they've given up 30 already in the first half to Eastern View.
That's right. And I think one of the other things she pointed out that we need to reiterate is that while the quarterback looks like he's athletic and has a pretty good arm, he and his receivers haven't been on the same sheet of music so far. And here's a onside kick. Both teams will battle for it. And Eastern View may be trying to surprise Caroline this time.
Yeah, but I don't agree with that call. That's me. No, I'm not. I shouldn't voice my opinion on that. They should have kicked it away, and Caroline got the ball.
The onside kick attempt.
You're up 30-0.
8-yard line.
What are you accomplishing that by? I mean, that's all I'm gonna say about it.
Okay. And so the onside kick does not work for Eastern View. Caroline, of course, then will naturally have great field advantage as they're going to mark it at the Caroline 49-yard line. So 3:30 to play, second quarter, 30-0 is Eastern View on top of Caroline, whose quarterback is Miles Holmes, number 7, right now with an empty backfield until Cameron Johnson checks in there, number 17. And they fake it to Johnson, then they throw short pass, and this one caught, and then the yards after catch give Caroline a first down. And this was William Millsop on the reception, Steve. Remember, he had that clutch catch last week against Culpeper. Was it second quarter?
Yep, second quarter. And so, that was wide open down the middle, tackled by Brett Clatterball, but that was a good play call.
To the tune of about 15 yards. And a Caroline first down. They haven't had many here tonight. I think that's 3. Clock running. We're approaching the 3-minute mark here in the second quarter. Again, Eastern View 30, Caroline nothing. Cavaliers have a 1st and 10 here as Cameron Johnson, the ball carrier, picked up positive yardage. He got inside the Eastern View 30.
And I'm thinking right now, I think Caroline's a little mad because they tried that onside kick. And now look at they're now playing a little bit more vigor than they were.
Yeah, picked up 8 yards in the play and brings up 2nd and then 2. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that ignited a little.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
spark in them.
I wouldn't have done that.
2nd down and 3 here. Clock continues to run, 2:15 and counting. Miles Holmes is the quarterback. Cameron Johnson here, the ball carrier. Right side, he had some running room. He will have another Caroline first down. So Caroline here threatening late in the second quarter. How important would it be to the Cavaliers if they could muster a continued drive here and cap it with some points?
It would be great. It'd be, they're obviously, I don't think, unless bar a complete miracle, they're going to win this game.
Right.
But it gives them some incentive to make it more of a game, come out here and play harder. But right now, Eastern View just took its last time out. And they're getting, their defense coordinators out there talking to them saying, look, they haven't run us all evening. Now we're giving up big chunks of yardage. And they haven't done anything different schematically. It's just that Eastern View is not attacking like it was. So,
well, one of the things they did do is they got William Millsop into the mix as a receiver, because remember, he had that clutch catch last week against Culpeper. Before that, he hadn't been a target tonight.
Gotcha.
And again, and you mentioned, Steve, is that Miles Holmes, the quarterback, he's got a good arm. He looks like he's a pretty good athlete, but his receivers and he and his receivers have not been on the what we would call the sing, shoot, of music thus far.
You're right.
But they're looking at 1st and 10 now to the Cavaliers at the Cyclone 19-yard line with 2:06 to play here in this second quarter. And here is Miles Holmes. He's going to throw it. Both guys going up for it. Let's see who's got it. Caroline says they do. Well, it's going to be a touchdown. What about that? And see if you can pick up the number. I think it was number 14.
Yeah, I mean, it was on the ground. The Eastern View cornerback tipped it, thought it was going to be on the knocked away, but the Caroline player was flat on his back on the ground, landed on him.
Well, was that William Millsop, number 14?
Might
it
be.
was too hard to pick it up. So, wow, Caroline, the recipient there of a good bounce and good concentration. As you pointed out, the defender went up with the receiver. It looked like both were in good position. And coming down with it, I'm going to say unofficially, was William Millsop over the Caroline's first score. And now the left-footed kicker is out there. And his kick is good. That's number 33 for Caroline, Steve. That is Malik Tunstall. And 7-0, so Caroline on the board.
Yep.
With 1:59 to play here in this second quarter.
And that basically was defense there, just napping, not doing, what it was doing previous games. Earlier in the quarter. But again, now, Eastern View had 4 quarters, or 5 quarters they weren't scored on, while they give up 7 here to 6 points here to Caroline in the second quarter.
And to your credit, remember that Caroline started the drive on its own 49 because the onside kick did not work.
Right, exactly. And that's where, that comes back to haunt you. Because we would still be playing today, still playing on Cavaliers wouldn't even made it past midfield yet if we had done that. But we give them, you poke the bear a little bit, and guess what happens? He's going to bite you.
The bear growls at least, right?
Yep, he's going to bite you. Keep poking at it.
And see what happens. Yeah. Well, what do you think? We've got 1:59 to play in the second quarter, and it's 30-7. Caroline will kick off. And interesting to see what Eastern View will do. Here's the short kick by Caroline, and this one easily fielded by Eastern View. They're going to have excellent field position itself.
Well, in that I agree with Caroline doing. They're trying to get back into the game, and so they're figuring they're looking at 100, 2 minutes to go. What do we got to lose? We're down 30-7, so we got to try to force some action here. But like I said, you've given them some new found life there, and now see if DeMaio Hunter and company can put the fire back in the Eastern View offense.
From the 43 of Eastern View, it's DeMaio Hunter looking for a little running room and picking his way forward for about 4 yards on the play. Brings up 2nd and 6. They're going to mark it at the 46, so giving 3 instead. It's 2nd and 7. Clock continues to run, 1:40 and counting. 30-7 at Eastern View. Let's see DeMaio Hunter and Eastern View time management here. As DeMaio Hunter hesitated, and I don't know if he was looking for the play to develop and some blocking to develop, but it didn't happen. And Caroline closed on it awfully quickly, and they drop him for a 1 or 2 yard loss. Going to bring up 3rd and long.
Yeah, but again, that's right now you have to say Lady Momentum is or Mighty Mo is going to Caroline now.
And now on 3rd and 9, checking into the game for Eastern View is Kevin Berg in that slot on the right side here as DeMaio Hunter looks downfield. He's going to air it out, going up for it, incomplete. Good coverage out there by Caroline.
Falls incomplete.
And could you see the number of the intended receiver?
Looks like it was, he's coming in here on the.
Yes, he is. Pick it up.
Will come on to punt the ball away for Eastern View.
Incomplete pass. They'll have to. Well,
he
think
turns
they will
around
punt
here.
this one away.
It's still being blocked. Can't see his number. But anyway, it was a good play made by the Caroline defensive back.
Braden Capellini on for his 2nd punt of the game. Clock stopped. 54 seconds to play here in the 2nd quarter.
They got to understand that Caroline.
High snap, Steve. He gets it down. Here comes the pressure. And I think they partially blocked it. And then it was a very short kick and a scramble for the football after that.
But it's going back to Eastern View. It's going to be roughing the punter. It's not going to be running into the punter. It's going to be roughing. It's a 15-yard first down.
So is that how you saw it? Because I was watching the bounce of the ball, obviously. And so what happened with the punter, Steve?
The guy went for the block. The punter got the ball off, and the standing, the guy just clipped him. I mean, just mowed him down. So I'm thinking it's going to be a 15-yarder. Because it wasn't running into the kicker. He wasn't pushed in by the blocker. He came in trying to block it. So what they're going to say here, they're going to. Oh, he picked it off.
Oh, he waved the flag off.
Oh, it was tipped.
Mm-hmm.
The ball was tipped.
Yeah, I felt like it was tipped. I didn't know about the running into the punter thing. I was watching the ball as it was bouncing out there. They were looking for possession. The ball was tipped. And
so they were fair game. But the thing is, I knew, when they were lining up, they were going to come after the punter. And, again, right now, some mental lapses right now on Eastern View, and that's uncharacteristic of them.
And the Cavaliers have it at the Cyclones 44 with 46.6 seconds. Clock stopped here in the 2nd quarter. That was Malik Johnson now lining up in the slot on the left. Miles Holmes throwing it downfield incomplete, and there's a penalty, it looked like, in the offensive backfield.
Yeah, it's going to be a holding. It's going to be holding against Caroline. Or, because I don't see the quarterback didn't get sacked. It's going to be holding. Yep. That's coming back.
Here's the referee giving us the signal here.
Holding.
And it is. Good call, Steve. So holding against Caroline.
Yeah, you want to push them back, with 40 seconds to go here in the first half. You don't want to give them any momentum. Push them back, the 15 yards.
The line of scrimmage was the Eastern View 44. And now it's back at the Caroline 41.
So now I would pin my ears back. If I was the defensive, I'd be sending all out blitz because they're not going to, they're going to use that play action to try to freeze the linebacker. But we'll see what Caroline does.
Caroline has it on its own 41. They have to get to the Eastern View 35 or 34 actually for a first down. All right, here is Miles Holmes throwing. This one, trying to make a diving interception, was number 21 for Eastern View, and that's Jason Spencer.
Second and long.
Now second and long. So, like I said, the line of scrimmage to 41 at Caroline. They have to get to the Eastern View 34 for a first down. But equally as important is how much time do you have remaining in the second quarter?
36 seconds.
Right, 36 seconds for Caroline if they're looking or thinking about trying to pick up some more points before the intermission.
Yeah, it's, you got to pay, got to play man up out there. 21's got to play man up at number 4 for Caroline. So.
And number 4 is Marvin Morris. Now Caroline loads up this left with 3 receivers. Plenty of time for the quarterback. He throws it. He's picked off at the 35-yard line. Coming back is for Eastern View's number 33.
Stafford on the interception.
Oh, it's number 23. Darius Stafford, 23, gets the interception, and that'll take care of any Caroline threat right there. And 25.8 seconds remaining here in the second quarter. Let's check the spot because Eastern View has excellent field position. Do they have enough time to do anything with it? Well, it's at the 29, so.
Yeah, you can throw it in there. That's what they're going to try to do. Good defense, though, by Stafford. He just waited on, he high-pointed that ball and took off with it. Good catch.
DeMaio Hunter and the Cyclones. 1st and 10 from the 29. Here comes the pressure. And they set up a screen out there. They get a block. There goes the receiver, headed to the end zone, and he's in from 29 yards out. But, Steve, I couldn't pick up the number. Is there a penalty flag?
We got a flag. I think it might be coming back. It might be a hold against Eastern View. We'll see.
That's usually the thing that'll bring it back, isn't it?
Yep. And they're talking right now. It's going to be, it's going to be against Eastern View. It's going to be holding. And that touchdown. That was a good play, though, Mark. It was good. You got picked up a good block, but we'll see. Holding, yep.
I was thinking, do they have enough time to punch it in? And you see a play like that, and the answer is obviously a yes.
Yeah.
They do have enough time. You just can't pick up the penalty as you go.
But that was that penalty hurt because that was score. That took 6 points off the board right there.
And it pushes the ball back to the 37-yard line.
And we'll see what each of you is going to try to do now.
It's about 1st and 18 here.
They got four downs to do it, though.
Clock stops, 16.8 seconds to play. Here's DeMaio Hunter on the play action, looking downfield, going to keep it. Going to be upended just shy of the 30-yard line, but the clock will continue to run.
Tackled by Berryman.
And neither team looks to like they're interested in stopping it, and they don't. So the second quarter has expired. That means the intermission's coming up. These two teams will go to the locker rooms with the Cyclones out in front, 30-7. So we'll take a break for the halftime, and we'll come back for the third quarter kickoff. Keep it right here. You're watching Cyclones football on the Culpeper Media Network.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, willing to take your trade and offer up to 125% of Kelly Blue Book Fair Trade value, along with a free trade appraisal. Battlefield Automotive, 547-3673. CFC Farm and Home Center, supplying your lawn and garden, pet, and farm needs since 1932. Hometown pricing and outstanding service at CFC Farm and Home Center, 825-2200. Found & Sons, more than a respected funeral home, they support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530. From shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. K&M Lawn, Garden, and Arborist Supplies, now located directly across Highway 29 from Eastern View High School. K&M. From grass to trees, they aim to please. 825-8371.
All right, welcome back to Cyclone Stadium. We are moments away from starting the third quarter. Our score, Eastern View 30, Caroline 7. And the Caroline Cavaliers coming back onto the field now. I'm Mark O'Connell alongside Steve Peacock. Johnny Krawchuk up top behind the camera. Don't ask him how it's going up there, Steve. It's cold and miserable. And I got to give the credit to not only Johnny, but to the fans out here under these umbrellas.
Yep.
I mean, it's just not.
It's football. It's fall weather, football style. I mean, we used to play back in the day. We'd play in this, get all muddy, love to play in it. But, being a spectator and a fan.
Sitting on the metal bleachers and cold
get
and rain.
Cold,
yeah.
Yep.
All right, so how did you, it's 30-7. And why don't you break down that first half action for our viewing audience from both sides? Let's start with Eastern View. Steve, what were some of your takeaways from that first half?
Well, they were firing on all cylinders up until about the middle, or toward at the beginning, the middle of the second quarter. They couldn't do anything wrong. Their first four possessions they scored on. Then they got a safety, and they're up 23-0, and then Caroline decided to kick off instead of the punt. And I think Eastern View was thinking they were going to punt, but when they didn't take a timeout, so they let him kick it off, and he pooch kicked it. Mm-hmm. Again, Eastern View stood around it and went 10 yards, so Caroline recovered it, and that gave them some momentum. And then they were able to put together a drive and, score because we had a couple penalties too. And, kudos to Caroline that came out and put 7 points on the board. But now it's Eastern View. Basically, that was the game. Then toward the end of the second quarter, they had a drive. They had a touchdown scored and was called back by holding. Those are only really – I just say there's maybe about three mistakes that Eastern View made in that first half. But then other than that, they just dominated Caroline. What Caroline's going to do in the second half, they got to figure out a way how to stop Eastern View, and I don't think they can do it. I think Eastern View, the only thing stopping Eastern View is themselves.
Right, but what did Caroline do better as the first half wore on? Because they did eventually score 7 points. They must have done something right.
Well, they were attacking. They were using the run-off tackle when they're big, running right behind their big number 71. And basically, Eastern View was letting them get to the edge. They were getting caught up too much inside. Caroline took advantage of it, saw the hole there, and it was either the quarterback or the running back running just little jet sweeps or sweeps. And that was really getting to the Eastern View defense. And then how they scored was the pass. But the pass was initially broken up by Eastern View, but the offensive receiver was on the ground in the end zone, and when the Eastern View player tipped it and the offensive player for Caroline fell on the ground, the ball fell right in his lap. So,
he said, "Thank you very much."
Yep, touchdown. So I really don't say that touchdown was against Eastern View. It was defended well, but the receiver just happened to be in the right spot at the right time.
Well, but Caroline's going to get the ball to start the third quarter. If you're coaching Caroline's offense, what do you think you can attack in terms of this Eastern View defense?
Well, I mean, they tried passing it. The quarterback's got a great arm, but I think they got to get more rollouts out of that quarterback and make the defense for Eastern View think, wait a minute, is he going to run? Is he going to pass? And, basically use that. He's got a strong arm. But his biggest thing right now is, and also get their running back involved. I think if they can hit some more screen passes or something like that to keep Eastern View's defense from teeing off on them, that's what I see they're going to try to do in the second half. Try to get because they're not going to get this lead back all at one time. Do I think they're going to get this lead back? No, but it's high school football. Stranger things can happen. Now the weather turned a little bit more nastier with the ball being wet and it's raining outside. That's going to put more pressure on Caroline's run game to be able to try to get yardage out of their run game, whereas Eastern View has a good running game established, and that's probably what they're going to do is just run and try to control clock. Because if Eastern View gets another touchdown, it's a 35-point lead, and it's a running clock. So we'll see what happens.
Well, they need a little bit more than that. But I like what you said about the quarterback, Caroline's Miles Holmes, because if he's rolling to his right or left. Is he going to run or throw the ball? Because that's a good question that has to be answered. Because last week, one of the bright spots for Caroline was Miles Holmes' total yardage of 147 yards.
Right.
So that total yards means passing and running. So he could do both. And I think you're right. I think if you're Caroline, you get him rolling right or left and make the defense guess.
Yep.
Now, if you're Eastern View, what are you going to do? What do you think offensively your best approach against Caroline's defense?
Basically continue what you've been doing. Get a little bit more, giving Jaden Williams some running room. Let him run the ball. He's a tough runner between the tackles. Maybe get Clatterball more involved from a tight end position or H-back position. And basically just let DeMaio Hunter, let him go free and let him, be creative and see, because he's very good at that, making plays on his own. So we'll see.
All right. Well, that was Steve's analysis, right on point. And as he's concluded that, Braden Capolini has teed it up for the Cyclones and will be kicking off to start this third quarter. Again, with the Cyclones out in front, 30-7. Could have been worse or could have been more.
Right.
It isn't, and this is what we go with here in this third quarter. All right. So here is Capolini, and his kick to start things here in the third is a line drive shot that's going to be fielded inside the 5-yard line. And on the return here, out to about the 20, and that's it, was Malik Johnson.
And he was brought down by, it looks like, number 18 for Eastern View, and that would be Aiden Grimsley. So now, Mark, defense, I'd be sitting there, keep bringing helmets, hats to the football, find it, and then just making the tackle. Just don't give up a big play.
Home game next Wednesday versus James Monroe.
So Caroline starts on its own 19 here as we start this third quarter. Miles Holmes is the quarterback, jersey number 7. 2 receivers, both right and left. 1 in motion, and that's Malik Johnson coming around for the toss, and he doesn't fool anyone wearing a blue jersey. They're going to drop him for a loss. And bring up 2nd and long.
Yeah, it was Clatterball on that tackle. He wasn't fooled by any of that. And that's what I like to see from him, his aggressiveness, getting in there, disrupting the play. And that's what Eastern View's got to continue to do. It looks like they can contain that running game, especially with the weather way it's going. It's going to be hard throwing, especially in the third quarter. He's going against the wind. So that's the other issue.
Against the wind.
Against the wind, as Bob Seeger said.
We're running against the wind. All right. So no gain on first down. 2nd and 10 now from the 19 for Caroline. Back to the run. Here is Clatterball firing in there and getting a quick tackle at about the 15, it looks like, and he drops the running back for about a 4-yard loss. Going to bring up 3rd and 14. It is back to the 15, and it was a 4-yard loss.
And you think about it, that's what college coaches are looking at, that closing speed that Clatterball had. He shot through the gap, and the ball was running away from him, and he was able still to chase down that back in the backfield and get him.
Right.
So
just shot through there, unimpeded and full force. 4-yard loss, 3rd and 14 for Caroline here as the ball has been pushed back to their own 15. They fake it. Here's Holmes stepping up, throwing downfield. Going up and nearly picked off by the Eastern View safety there.
yeah, let's see his number.
On the pass breakup.
And was it
Stafford.
Stafford? Yeah,
Yep.
Darius Stafford. Breaks up the pass and now forces a punting situation for Caroline.
And, Mark, I was surprised they didn't flag him for offensive interference because he did knock Stafford down. He submarined him. But so now with that punter and the shaky punter with the ball, there's the Eastern View right here. And they're not even giving – they got their up back at the 40. And it's going to be a flag.
This is a very short kick.
But
But
look
it
what
does
happened.
take a Caroline roll. So what did you see? Did you say
Flag.
there was a flag
It
down?
looks like maybe Eastern View left a little bit early. Let's see what the.
Johnson's punt of 30 yards is down at the 45-yard line. You know, a penalty mark.
Going back to that play that Darius Stafford made, you talked about the receiver separating him, but didn't the receiver become the defender on that play? At
Yes,
that
he
point?
did.
So yeah.
But still should have been offensive pass interference.
Okay. So let's check here what's going on. It's a false start, illegal procedure against Caroline.
Cavaliers.
And they're just going to take it on add the 5 yards onto the on the kickoff on the punt. They were starting at the 40. They were starting at the 35. Now the officials are trying to think where the ball is. I thought the ball was up at the 45. Didn't you?
I did, and now it's at the 40.
That's what I thought. Okay. It looked like he was going to mark it up to the 35.
Eastern View is ready to go on offense.
And say, you know what? The officials holding it up, but they should be putting his hand down. They're not ready. The Eastern View should be taking advantage. If you're not out in the field, that's your tough luck.
10:18 to play here in the third. Eastern View goes on offense for the first time here in the third quarter. Excellent field position at the Caroline 40. I believe this was Stafford again at the 40,
Yep.
dropped in his tracks there, making the tackle.
Number 69.
Okay, 81 for Caroline, Steve.
81 and number 69.
Yeah, Tyre Williams, he also handles the punts. And he might not be offended if someone took that job over for him. I mean, that's been in a tough position all night from that standpoint.
But you know what? He's really gotten good yardage. If you looked at statistically, his punts were going 35 to 40 yards on the roll.
On the roll, yeah. So, the roll can be everything, right?
Hey, it can be, SBG, satisfactory but good.
Third down and 8. Here comes the pressure. They set up the screen. And they got first down yardage here, and still on his feet and headed toward the end zone is Eastern View's. Let's pick up the numbers, Steve. It looks like it's going to be from 38 yards here. I can't even see the player.
I think it's going to be Stafford. I mean, there's a flag.
Oh, it's Darius Stafford on the run. Yeah.
38 yards for the touchdown. You better close the doors, shut the windows, and check all locks. It's an Cyclone touchdown.
9:11 to play in the third. 36-7 our score. Capolini on for the point after. Well, it didn't take the Cyclones long to find the end zone. The point after is good. It's 37-7. So it's a 30-point lead now for the Cyclones with 9:11 to play here in the third. Well, this broadcast brought to you in part by CFC Farm and Home Center, supplying your lawn and garden, pet, and farm needs since 1932. Hometown pricing and outstanding service at CFC Farm and Home Center. And so here it is. 37-7, 9:11 to play here in the third. When we started the third quarter, Caroline had possession, 3 and out. Eastern View took over at the Caroline 40. 3 plays later, they found the end zone, and it's 37-7.
You're right, Mark, and that's good offensive series by Eastern View. That was, they used the run, they set up the pass. That was a great screen play. It was set up perfectly. And Stafford did the rest, getting into the end zone.
Well, he had that touchdown last week.
Yep.
We mentioned touchdown reception from DeMaio Hunter, 62 yards last week on that, hauling in that pass for touchdown.
And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this is looking like this district is going to come down to between Eastern View and King George. I really have
And I want to ask you when we get a chance, is this kickoff is going to go off the player's hands there? That's Malik Johnson into the end zone for a touchback. If you have followed King George much this season, and how good you think they are?
Well, they're very good. They're undefeated. They beat Massaponax, which is a perennial
6A.
6A, and right now they're not scheduled to play Louisa. Unless it gets to the playoffs. So Louisa's got another, good, strong team. But it looks like right now, I mean, Eastern View learned from the Brook Point game, and King George, like I said, they're the real deal. They've got a great offense led by those two
Receivers.
wide receivers, Chance Wiggins and Malik White, I believe.
All right, here's Caroline. They go to the pass, and it's Keegan Brown, number 15. On the reception for Caroline, he got out to the 25, picked up 5 yards on first down. It's 2nd and 5 there, and the clock stopped with 9:11 to play.
And he was brought down by Izum Ado. Now, getting back to King George, like I said, it's going to come down to. I hope we have to check the schedule, but I think King George comes here at Eastern View. We'll see.
Yeah, and I can check that momentarily. That's certainly going to be the real test for both teams. This one batted down, deflected. Brett Clatterball got his hands on the ball.
He was in at the right place. And again, that's showing good defensive skills there from the linebacker.
So I think, Steve, the comparison we mentioned in that Jefferson district, how good are you? Louisa and Orange that game will be a good indicator of where those two teams stand. And then in this district battlefield, King George and Eastern View.
Right, and you can't count Almore out there in the Jefferson district.
No, that's true. And they're supposed to play Orange tomorrow.
Yep.
So we were saying Albemarle's got a good team this year. All right, here it is. With Holmes rolling to his left and now throwing. He does have a receiver out there. He's going to be tackled shy of that first down marker.
And so see what he's going to do. They're going to go for it.
Well, do you go for it this early in the third? 8:45, clock ticking, you're down 30.
You're down 4 yards, and what they're going to do, I bet you just got to tell Eastern View don't jump, because that's what they might do, because they're lining up like they're going to go for it. Now you tell your defense, watch the ball. Don't jump. And watch, and I look here for the quarterback to be running this.
Well, on 4th down and 3. Yep, trying to draw him off sides. No, they go for it. Oh, he loses the ball. And now it's picked up and then tackled almost immediately. It was, let's see who got in.
Number 11.
Oh, that's Kevin Berg.
Yep.
Well, so they really were going for it on 4th down, Steve.
They were.
And it looked almost like the quarterback just sort of tossed it to get rid of it, but he didn't. He lost.
He lost touch. He might say his arm was going forward. It wasn't going forward.
Yeah.
And
clearly a fumble.
And Berg he could have returned it for a TD, but Caroline jumped back on him. But looks like the ball's where, Mark, at the
13.
13, you got it.
Eastern View on Caroline 13. Already up by 30, 37-7 with 8:11 to play here in the third. DeMaio Hunter turns the other way. Now he's going to throw the middle of the field. He's got a receiver. It's caught. Touchdown, Eastern View. Let's check the receiver. Is that, let's see if we can pick it up here, Steve. It's just so hard to see these numbers out here. Well, I'm guessing it's Clatterball.
No, it's number 11.
Oh, it's 11. That's Kevin Berg.
Yep. Looks like
it is Kevin Berg. 13 yards, Steven.
And Berg with a touchdown. All right, people, shut the doors, close the windows, check your locks. It's a Cyclone touchdown.
So you were looking for that 35-point advantage, weren't you? And now with it being 43-7 and Cavaliers on with a point after, his kick is up and good. 44-7. So that gives you that 7-14. That's 34.
Yep.
41. No, 7-14 is 7. 37 point. So it would be a continuously running clock.
It would be the continuously running clock now.
Now you see how difficult it is to take 7 from 44.
Yep.
Yeah. So 30. Basic math.
Well, 7,
so, but you hit, but
7 from 14 is
7 from 14 is 7.
And take away.
So a 37-point differential means a continuously running clock.
A continuously running clock there will be no except for timeouts or injuries.
Which means, and we've said it before, this one will go quickly.
Yep.
As that clock will run for the most part. That means the pressure's on us, Steve.
Yep. So see if the official's going to. I haven't seen him signal continuing clock, but we'll.
Do they do it after the kickoff? I guess that's my.
Yeah, they do it after the kickoff.
Well, here's a chance to get some of these spots in, because this broadcast is brought to you in part by Fountain Sons, more than a respected funeral home. They support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Fountain Sons, 825-3530. Here's Capolini's kick. Keep it on the ground. And some bouncing action going is picked up inside the 10-yard line by Thompson. Malik Thompson hit hard as he crossed the 25-yard line. And it might have been number 44 for Eastern View making that tackle, and that was Detrez Gahagan.
Yep. Yeah, the clock is running, so this game will go quick.
And I'll tell you, this broadcast brought to you in part by Cash Imprints, from shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473.
And, Mark, the thing was that was a broken play. Basically because when DeMaio Hunter went to look to hand off for play action, there was nobody there, and then he saw he backpedaled and threw it in the end zone to Berg.
And there I was thinking it was all about design.
Yeah.
He fooled me. Well, the running back slung down rudely.
Yep.
No gain. 2 or 3 Cyclone players in there. This broadcast brought to you in part by K&M Lawn and Garden and Arborist Supplies, now located directly across Highway 29 from Eastern View High School. K&M, from grass to trees, they aim to please. Third quarter action, clock running, 5:35 and counting, man. And again, the 37-point differential
Yep.
will keep that clock continuously moving.
And like I said, it only stops for injuries or timeouts. So
Quarterback for Caroline is Miles Holmes. Fakes it, going to throw it. He's hit as he does, and the ball is loose. But they're going to say incomplete. I guess his arm was going forward.
Yep, incomplete. They're still running the clock.
All right. Well, this broadcast brought to you in part by Battlefield Automotive, willing to take your trade and offer up to 125% of Kelly Blue Book fair trade value, along with a free trade appraisal. That's Battlefield Automotive, 540-547-3673. And again, clock running, 4:45 and counting here in the third quarter. Our score, Eastern View 44, Caroline 7. It was, 30-7 at the half?
37 at the half.
14 unanswered points by Eastern View here in the third.
And basically they were giveaways by Caroline to them. They were gifts.
Right. On 3rd and 11 now for Miles Holmes, and a penalty flag comes in. Will this cost them 5 yards?
It will. We'll be jumping now. The clock should stop on a penalty.
Right. Offsides against Eastern View.
It's not. They're not stopping it. So I thought it stops on penalties.
Going to bring up 3rd and 6 now for Caroline from its own 31.
Right.
But you're right, and the clock continues to run, approaching that 4-minute mark here in the third. Miles Holmes, the quarterback, fakes it. Now he's going to throw it, slings it downfield. This one caught and then dropped. Well, I thought he had it. Was it number 88 for
88,
Eastern View?
yeah.
I'm sorry, Caroline.
For Caroline.
88, that's Xavier Atkins, the intended receiver.
Yep. He high-pointed it, too. He looked like he was going to get it, Mark, but good defensive play by Eastern View. Now,
Darius Stafford, number 23, goes back to return this punt. Looks like they go with the same kicker there, too, and that's number 81, Tyre Williams.
and so I said the clock's still running. And Caroline ain't in any hurry about it either.
No, they aren't. Well, this punter, I believe his knee went to the ground, and they're calling it
Yeah.
dead ball. I mean, that's down there, right?
Down right there.
Exactly. See
right.
that? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you couldn't help it. He was trying to get his balance and, get the ball in control. But once your knee touches the ground, that's it.
Yep.
And that's why they're going to down it now inside the 20-yard line, where Eastern View will have it up 44-7 with 3:05 to play here in the third. And they did stop the clock for the change of possession.
Yep. And he'll start the clock here in a minute. He'll run his arms. And he's
The Caroline 17-yard
There
line.
he goes. Starts the clock right now.
DeMaio Hunter fakes it, keeps it, straight ahead he goes, and inside the 15, down to about the 13 for 4 yards. And 2nd and 6 coming up. And again, the clock continues to run, 2:45 and counting here in the third quarter.
And, Mark, another tidbit, we said last week that Caroline has not won a district game in 17 straight games, and Culpeper beat them as 18. Looks like it's going to be number 19 here against Eastern View.
Well, that's true. 17 game, you said, losing streak against its Battlefield District opponents last week. Culpeper 18, and tonight, as you said, Eastern View. Well, did you realize that both teams have a player named Keegan Brown on their line?
No, I saw
They do.
that.
Throwing for the end zone, incomplete. I believe that may have been Clatterball, the intended receiver.
It was, and he was being shadowed by 2 or 3 players. But again, like I said, it doesn't hurt him because the ball.
So Caroline has Keegan Brown, number 15, and Eastern View has Keegan Brown.
Yep, there you go.
Where is he?
He's number 50.
Here he is, number 10.
Yep.
So Eastern View, Keegan Brown is number 10, and Caroline's Keegan Brown, number 15. All right, checking into the game. Oh, that's 23, Darius Stafford behind DeMaio Hunter. It's 3rd and 5, Cyclones at the Cavalier 13. DeMaio Hunter throwing for the end zone. Going up for it. Incomplete, it looks like.
Is there a flag?
They went into that really dark area where it was hard to see. Kevin Berg on the near side of the field had his arms raised as though he thought his teammate had got in for the touchdown, but no word from the official.
Waved off, so start the clock again.
But it's 4th down.
4th down. I bring on your field goal kicker, Cavaliers. He's been kicking it well. Give him a try.
All right. Do they? Yep, because number 99, that's Capolini.
Yep.
Don't think, and so you do bring him in, and obviously this is easily within his range. If they set it at the 20, the mark, be a 30-yard field goal attempt, easily within Capolini's range here. Of course, it comes down to the snap, the hold, and the blocking, and then the kick, of course. So here it is. Capolini's kick, definitely long enough. It's up and good. From 30 yards out, Steve, you got the field goal by Capolini, and that makes it 47-7.
40-point lead, Mark, and that, hey, it's good. It's good for him. It gives him confidence, gives coaches confidence. Hey, we get inside the 30-yard line, we got a weapon.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's why I said let him go for it here. What do you got to lose?
What do you got to lose?
That's right. So, and the way he's been kicking off, and the way he doesn't look like big like a kicker, but he's got a strong leg.
Well, this we're live, and our live sponsor is Able Heating and Air. Answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system, there's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Want to say hello to Nicole Wooten back in the studio. Johnny Krawchuk behind the camera. You really earn your money when you're up there in this kind of weather, don't you?
You sure do.
And then,
hats off to him.
And Steve, always good to work with you. And this
Same
game,
here.
we're just going to have to pay close attention because we're down to 38 seconds now in the third quarter.
Yep, and it was, they stopped the clock because of change of possession after the field goal. It will start again.
Well, here's Capolini's kickoff. This one is headed to the end zone for yet another touchback, and you've alluded to it previously tonight, Steve, where you said, you know what, if you're the kicker, you can put it into the end zone like that. You take all the pressure off your special team players.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter how good the return man is for the other team. If he can't, he doesn't have a chance, there's nothing he can do, obviously.
That's right.
And as you pointed out, Capolini with a 30-yard field goal, it's like, you get into the deeper into the season and the games become more competitive, it might come down to a field goal from time to time.
Exactly. I mean, it come down and being able to kick that field goal. All I think about is the Eastern View Lake Taylor game. Instead of going for it on 4th and 1, if we had a good field goal kicker then, we could have kicked the field goal and won that game. So,
sometimes you have those players, and then sometimes you just don't. And there's nothing you can do about it. You go with what you got, as the expression goes. And here is running the football for Cavaliers is Javon Morris. He had the team's touchdown last week against Culpeper.
He sure did. And see, it looks like he's got some subs in there now on defense for Eastern View.
Well, the final 15 seconds are ticking off here in the third quarter, too. We'll try to pick up these numbers as we can as we get substitutions in here. The final 5 seconds now ticking off. doesn't look like we'll get another play before the quarter expires. And we won't, because there's a sound that signals the end. All right, we've played 3 here at Cyclone Stadium, where it's been all Eastern View. It's 47-7 in favor of the Cyclones. We'll take a break and come back for the 4th and final quarter right after this.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, willing to take your trade and offer up to 125% of Kelley Blue Book Fair Trade value, along with a free trade appraisal. Battlefield Automotive, 547-3673. CFC Farm and Home Center, supplying your lawn and garden, pet, and farm needs since 1932. Hometown pricing and outstanding service at CFC Farm and Home Center, 825-2200. Found & Sons, more than a respected funeral home, they support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530. From shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. K&M Lawn, Garden, and Arborist Supplies, now located directly across Highway 29 from Eastern View High School. K&M, from grass to trees, they aim to please. 825-8371.
All right, set to start the 4th quarter. Caroline in possession at the 26-yard line. It's 2nd and 4. They swing it out there to Marvin Morris, and Morris will pick up a Caroline first down.
And it look like I said the clock will continue to run, and
Morris on the reception.
we're looking at 40-point lead, but we got a new some reserves in, Mark, and they deserve to play, and Caroline's going to try to take advantage of.
Just a reminder,
All right, how about, we were mentioning Keegan Brown for Eastern View. We're also looking at number 40 there, Drew White, playing the corner, bottom of your screen for Eastern View. Here's Holmes. Got a receiver out there. He catches him in stride, and off to the races and into the end zone. It's touchdown Caroline. That's Marvin Morris on the reception, 67 yards from Miles Holmes.
And that was a pretty pass, Mark.
It really was.
I mean, Eastern View, of course, now we're running with the reserves. What had happened was he got behind him and was able to take it into the house, 67 yards. So I'm sure they're going to have to go for 2 here.
Well, it was a perfect pass. He caught him right in stride.
Right.
And 67 yards on the play from Miles Holmes to Marvin Morris. And now it's 47-13.
Yep, they're going to go for it.
Well, why wouldn't you, right?
Yep. But still, is it going to erase the 35-point lead?
Well, we'll have to do the math again as
He didn't get there.
Miles Holmes tried to get there, and maybe a second effort got him in. Let's check. Looks like he did, Steve.
Did he get
He
him?
did, yeah. On the 2-point conversion, it was Miles Holmes. Makes it 47-15. Now it's a 32-point
Yep.
lead.
Now the clock goes back to regular time.
That'll slow it down. Caroline not done, but of course it's coming probably too much, too little, too late, as the expression goes. Well,
Right.
this broadcast brought to you in part by Battlefield Automotive, willing to take your trade and offer up to 125% of Kelley Blue Book Fair Trade value, along with a free trade appraisal. That's Battlefield Automotive, 540-547-3673. And Steve, you've heard me say it before. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but every time I think of Battlefield Automotive, you know who I think of? Number 32 for the Blue Devils.
Oh, Blue Devils. Freight train Jeremy
Bailey. Yeah, hope he's doing well.
Yep.
He
He works at Battlefield Chevrolet.
gave us a lot of good memories from that 99 team, didn't he? He and his
Sure
teammates.
Sure did.
Certainly think of Jeremy. And also this broadcast brought to you in part by Cash Imprints, from shirts to banners and everything in between. You can imprint your message on the community with cash imprints. 317-1473. Well, that touchdown by Caroline will slow things down here as far as the clock. It goes back to its conventional running as they go onside. Nice, nicely fielded out there by that up back at the 40-yard line. And I didn't pick up his number either, Steve.
I didn't either. I get it. It's hard to see, like you said.
Yeah, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, now they look like they're putting their. No, Brett Clatterball is coming off. No, he's going out here to stick with this guy. They put their, starters back in.
Wait a minute, Clatterball's wide right?
Yep, wide right.
That's not tight end, that's receiver. And they go back to the pass here.
Yep.
Incomplete.
Look who's wide open down the field. I mean,
you're just going to find him show up in any position, right?
That's right.
Is that the first we've seen him as a wideout?
Yep.
I mean, I've seen him as a tight end. I've seen him come out. I don't know, but why not, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So here.
Yeah, let's check for other personnel changes. You see DeMaio Hunter still in the game.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it's starting to rain heavy too now. So, yeah, they.
This could be an option. It is. Throwing downfield, wide open out there if he can catch it, and he does. And they'll, it's a foot race, and he's going to make it into the end zone. But, Steve, I still can't pick up that number. I just can't see it. But let's check the yardage because it was, the 41-yard line. That's, a 59-yard pass. And that came off the halfback option.
Halfback option. It's a Cyclone touchdown. Shut your doors. Close your windows. Check your locks. It's a Cyclone touchdown.
All right, so that would make it 53-15.
We'll go back to our running clock again here.
Because now you're up by 38 points, and actually maybe 39 here in just a second. Kick is up. Kick is good. 54-15.
extra point is good.
The onslaught continues.
24 seconds left
Mark,
in the ball game.
The other thing is too, I want to talk about
15.
Capolini is perfect on his extra points and perfect on his field goal attempt today. So he's had a good night.
Well, okay, so is that 8 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Which would make it 8 times 6 is 48, and then you'd have the 8 extra points. Is that right? No, wait a minute. So something's wrong here with my math.
Yeah.
7 times 6. Well, wait a minute, they had the safety too.
Yeah, they had the safety.
That's what it is. Yeah, they had the safety.
Yeah.
So 8 touchdowns
Yep.
would make it 8 times 6 is 48 points. You have 8 point afters would make it 56. So that's not right.
No,
So it's 7 touchdowns.
7 touchdowns.
That equals 42 points. And you tack on 7 points for the.
They talk on 33 points. 3 points for the field
Oh,
goal.
the field goal too.
Yeah.
Plus you had the safety.
Right.
Right. Yeah. They have a little bit of everything in terms of the scoring. The only thing they haven't had would be a special team score off the return.
Right.
But they did have the safety, and obviously Eastern View's had things their way tonight.
They sure have. I mean, it's a cold night. Temperature is 53 degrees, and we got wind blowing, and courtesy of Ian.
You know Ian, don't you?
Yeah, he's a rough guy, isn't he?
He's wreaking havoc.
He sure is.
Capolini kick, not headed to the end zone this time. This time, a one bouncer fielded at inside the 20-yard line. Caroline's number.
Fumble.
Yep, it is a fumble. Looks like Eastern View's got it.
And they do.
Well, the return man there was number 85, DeMonte Ross Byers. He lost control. Eastern View has it, and the destruction continues, doesn't it?
All right, now we got 75 in.
All right, let's pick up some of these numbers,
78
Steve.
and 75.
Let's go to Eastern Views.
Yeah.
You said 75.
And 78.
75 is Grayson Yates, and 78.
Is Samet Abed.
Right.
And who else is in there?
Well, number 1 is Cameron Hughes. We haven't mentioned him. Number
20.
20 checking in. That is Braden Hubert.
Okay.
Coming to the sidelines is Fry.
And number 12 is
AP
in their
Hall is in the ball
quarterback.
game. Quarterback
All right.
for the Cyclones.
Number 12. He's in a quarterback.
Well, we had 12 earlier in the year as Amari Robinson, but I don't believe that's right. We're going to have to check with the public address announcer for that one because look at your, I don't have a 12. I had a 12. It was early. It was Amari Robbins.
Yeah, I don't know who it is.
He's tackled by
But that
the
clock-
Cavaliers,
Yeah,
number
we'll just
21.
say number 12. The clock is continuing to run.
And if you look at the light, Steve, you can see the rain, what it's
Yeah.
doing out there. It's not a hard rain, but it's
And the other reason why his kickoff didn't go to the end zone, he's kicking against the wind. You know, if he would had the wind down here, it's going against the wind down this way.
well, we're in the fourth quarter, just under 8 minutes to play, and it's 54-15 in favor of the Cyclones. And again, the continuously running clock, and so this one can go rather quickly.
Yep. And they was waiting for the snap.
We talked about a substitution at quarterback. Here's a long snap count. They go to the run. Got a new running back in there. Went over the left
Eddie
side.
Holmes, the ball carrier, goes up the middle for
Number 81's
1
checking
yard.
in for Eastern View.
Fans, last call for the concession stand. If you'd
Last
like
call
to
for the
have something to
concession
eat or
stand because they
drink,
want to wrap things
now
up
is the
tonight.
time
Well,
to
number
go to the
81 for
concession
Eastern View is
stand. They will
Philip
be closing
Tyree.
very,
And number
very
25
shortly.
checking back in is Jaheim Fry.
And I'm trying to get, I just don't know who number 12 is.
81 is Philip Tyree. And coming near side 21, well, Jason Spencer. Yes, we've got a replacement there at quarterback for DeMaio Hunter. Had a great game, of course. And, talking about the prolific offensive scoring machine of Eastern View, really turning it on here tonight. 54-15 our score. And again, the clock continues
Fry,
to
your ball
run.
carrier,
We are in the fourth quarter.
goes around the left side
Our
for
live
3
sponsors,
yards.
Able
Brings
Heating
up
and Air,
4th
answering
and
any and all questions you may have about your HVAC
long
system.
4.
There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air at 718-7556.
We got 52 in there.
For Eastern View,
Eastern View.
and 52 is Carlos Diaz. Line of scrimmage is the 20 of Caroline. Big substitution in there for Caroline now. Lined up on that defensive tackle position. Rain continues to fall. Clock continues to run, and Eastern View continues to take its time.
Yeah, that's 4th and 4. And they didn't want to, because they know that against the wind, you'd really be a tough field goal from here against that wind where the angle is.
Well, they're going to throw it, and it's going to be dropped, and this will be a turnover now on
Ball
downs.
pass
Caroline will get
intended.
the ball back, but the clock will continue to run with
Well,
5:40 and counting. Well, here we are in the
Ball's
fourth
incomplete.
quarter.
Cavaliers will
This
take
broadcast brought to you in part by Fountain Sons, which is more than a respected funeral home. They support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Fountain
Again,
Sons,
we'd like to thank tonight's game sponsor,
825-3530.
Upper Orthodontics.
Well, Mark, we can get our schedules out. I know we're going to probably be doing the Culpeper game next week.
Also,
We'll
the
probably
team
take a look at
meal
that here in
sponsor
just a
and the
moment.
faculty tailgate
Let's see if there's
was
any
sponsored by Gourget's
substitutions
Grill.
on that Caroline side. Do they still go with the quarterback,
Yep.
Miles Holmes? They do. And they've got a running back there getting turned loose and into that Eastern View secondary.
Keegan Brown
Keegan Brown,
twists
according
and
to
turns for 14
is
yards.
the
That'll be a
ball
Caroline
carrier for
first
Caroline, picked up first down yardage. We are in the fourth quarter, and that clock still moving, under 5 minutes to play. Well, I'll tell you what, let's do, Steve.
Number 69 just came. Number 7's coming in.
I'll let you call it. Let me pause in the action and take a look at what our teams are doing for next week. I think this is important information because, we talked about how Culpeper was supposed to play King George tonight.
Right.
They canceled that game. I don't know when they're going to play it.
They usually got played either Saturday or Monday.
And so let's take a look at how our teams are going to match
Morris
up for
over the
next
reception
week.
From home.
And that was a handoff by the Caroline quarterback to the running back who got knocked out of bounds. It looks like they're going to mark him
Be 2nd and 3.
2nd and 3.
Cavaliers.
All right, so tonight, of course, Eastern View is playing at home to Caroline. Next week, they are at James Monroe. That takes care of the Eastern View side of things.
Oh.
And then Culpeper, we mentioned that King George game being canceled, or postponed, rather. And then, so next week, Culpeper is home to Spotsylvania. How do you see that matchup?
Well, first of all, let's tell our viewing audience there's a holding
The
against
replay of first down
Caroline on that play. So now it brings up 1st and 12. But how do I see Spotsylvania hasn't won a game yet either. But they've been playing some tough competition. So, no, they won one. They beat Fluvanna.
All right, here is Miles Holmes. And we had a penalty flag out there. As
Holmes' pass is intended for
We'll see what
his
the-
pass was
Demonte
incomplete.
Ross
we
Byers.
got a penalty. The
Calls
clock
complete.
stops on a penalty. It might be
Penalty marker on the play.
it's either holding against Caroline or was it roughing the passer Eastern View? I think it's holding. Here it is. Here's the call. Holding.
All
Holding.
right. Well, and I want to mention that
It's
this
Caroline.
broadcast brought to you in
That's
part
10-yard
by
spot
CFC
foul.
Farm and Home Center,
Correction.
supplying your lawn and garden, pet and farm needs since
Penalty declined.
1932. Hometown pricing and outstanding service at CFC Farm and Home Center.
Second and long for
Well, the
Caroline.
clock is down to 3:49. Now they put it back in action. Also want to mention K&M Lawns, Garden and Arborist Supplies, now located directly across Highway 29 from Eastern View High School. K&M, from grass to trees, they aim to please. Now you got a man open out here, and this is big number 17 for Caroline, picking up big yardage, and that was Cameron Johnson. So Caroline going to, fight for a little bit here as this game winds down.
Yeah, they want to. They don't like to run the clock, but it's
First down.
it's the game is definitely going to be won by the Cyclones, and they're like I said, they're playing the reserves, which gives them valuable playing time. But Mark, it's talking about next week. James Monroe has not won a game either. They're
Right.
So I think Eastern View should have no problem handling them. But Culpeper might have to play 2 games within a week.
Right, because it would have to play King George early in the week and then get Spotsylvania late in the week. Cameron Johnson, again, the ball carrier for Caroline. And Johnson busts out of the pack, and he's still on his feet. And he makes his way into the end zone from 29 yards out. It's touchdown Cavaliers.
Yeah.
That'll give them 27 points on the night.
Yep. You're right.
Cameron Johnson
No,
takes
20,
it to.
gives them 21. It was 54-14.
Okay.
You need a ride.
What did I say about my math? Wait a minute, it was 54 to 15.
Yeah, 54-15.
So it
Now-
makes it 54 to 21.
Right.
Call now for your rides to pick you up at the conclusion of the ball game.
Steve, can Caroline come back in this game?
No.
They still have 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
Well, they'd have to. I mean, it'd have to
I just
be-
wanted to see if you're still with
it'd
me.
have to be a total breakdown.
Going for the 2-point conversion here.
Yeah, we'll give it the.
Holmes throwing, caught, end zone, and it's number 81. And we've been calling his name a lot tonight because he also doubles as a team punter for Caroline, and that is Tyre Williams on the 2-point conversion.
Well, now it goes back to a 31-point deficit. So now the clock is going to be back, back stopping on incomplete. But
Except that it's only 2 minutes and 40 seconds to play, so it's not going to matter too much anyway, is
right.
it?
No, you're right, and it's Eastern View gets the ball too. Well, they're going to go for onside kick, so you might want to be aware of that. And then basically Eastern View just got to run a couple running plays and then take knees, and it's adios, amigos.
Adios, amigos. Well, so we said Eastern View gets James Monroe next week.
Yep.
And then Culpeper
Culpeper's
gets
got
Spotsylvania.
Is it at Spotsylvania or at Culpeper?
Let me see what I had on the calendar here. You're talking about your nifty, handy-dandy calendar, aren't you?
Yep.
Well, I'm going to say they're home to Spotsylvania next week if that schedule's correct.
Yeah, it's going to have to redo. It jumped off sides. So the clock's going to stop. Culpeper should just refuse. I mean, Eastern View should just refuse that penalty.
Legal procedure against Caroline.
Yep, they're going to make him do it again. I mean, you got the ball, got the possession. Just take. I'd decline the penalty. Why give him another shot?
Malik Tunstall is the place kicker. Here's his kick. Short. And taking a knee inside the 35-yard line.
And again, now all Eastern View's got to do is just, like I said, run a couple plays. We got 75 coming in. We already said 4 in the offensive line. 77 we said, 52, 51. We haven't, who's number 51?
It's not Dick Butkus.
75 and 51.
51, Dominic.
Siemendinger? Yeah, Siemendinger.
Simendinger.
And then
Dominic Simendinger.
number 75.
Not Deacon Jones. Grayson Yates.
Okay. Well, they're in new at the line. And the quarterback's still number 12. We don't know his name.
And I wasn't really sure why for a while that clock was continuing to run and they stopped it.
Yeah, because now it's going to run now unless Caroline calls the
But
time.
why? But it's not a 35-point differential.
No, it isn't now.
Raheem Fry, the ball carrier.
So Raheem Fry,
Hit for 7 yards.
the ball carrier there, 7 yards, 2nd and 3 coming up. Ball at the 40, minute 50 to play, fourth quarter, 54-23 in favor of the Cyclones.
Man, they're just going to let this clock keep melting down. He just picks up 3 more yards, get a first down, it's over.
Yeah, and why would you not let it melt down? I mean,
Right.
you want to add insult to such a huge lopsided win. You're getting over your opponent here tonight.
Yep,
Caroline's got a long ride home, don't they?
they sure do.
But we went down there last week. Here's a running play by the Cyclones. Watch out, he's not done. And into Caroline territory there. And that was Jaheim Fry. Yeah. Really powering his way there for yardage and a determined run.
And again, right now, all you got to do if the Eastern View is take the knee, get in the victory formation. Clock's still running. Just take a knee, get out of here with a good win, and get anybody who's got any bumps and bruises, get them treated. And
Hey, wasn't AP Hull projected to be the backup quarterback?
I think so.
AP Hull.
Maybe,
Yeah. We go back to the run,
Fry, your ball carrier.
and it's Jaheim Fry, and the final 30 seconds will now tick off.
yeah, they're just going to come on the sideline.
Yep, and they're going to gather and get ready to let this one officially in, and then meet in the middle and shake hands here after these final seconds tick off.
Yeah, and it was good playing tonight by Eastern View. Their Caroline we knew was not a very good football team, but they could have given them a couple of problems, and they did give their heads off. They scored 23 points, albeit most of it against the second team and third team defense of Eastern View.
Well, and so that's the ball game. So, we've been summarizing it and highlighting it for our viewing audience throughout the game. Our final score is 54-23. Your final thoughts before we sign off?
Well, Eastern View continues on. Like I said, it's heading, I think, to a showdown between Eastern View and King George. And does King George come here, or do we?
Well, I've got the schedule says we're at King George. Eastern View is on October 21st, and that's certainly going to be Battlefield District Showdown. Of course, Cortland faces Eastern View the last game of that regular season.
Yeah, but Cortland's only won 1 game. They're not as strong either. That's going to be Eastern View's going to have to get geared up and ready to go into King George.
Steve, enjoyed calling the game with you tonight. For Nicole back in the studio, Johnny behind the camera, and for Steve, I'm Mark O'Connell saying thanks for watching and supporting Cyclones football here on the Culpeper Media Network. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, willing to take your trade and offer up to 125% of Kelly Blue Book Fair Trade value, along with a free trade appraisal. Battlefield Automotive, 547-3673. CFC Farm and Home Center, supplying your lawn and garden, pet and farm needs since 1932. Hometown pricing and outstanding service at CFC Farm and Home Center, 825-2200. Found & Sons, more than a respected funeral home, they support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530. From shirts to banners and everything in between, imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. K&M Lawn, Garden, and Arborist Supplies, now located directly across Highway 29 from Eastern View High School. K&M, from grass to trees, they aim to please. 825-8371.